He in one place, I'm in another.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm looking for mega fights right now. And right now, that's not a mega fight. So, you know what I mean? That's my standpoint on it. I'm looking to fight guys like Canelo. You know, that's pretty much it, man. And the rematch with Spence. And that's it.
Terence Crawford has agreed to fight Jaron Ennis after being challenged to do so. On the other hand, Eddie Hearn thinks that Crawford versus Ennis is the best fight that can happen in boxing right now. Hearn said that the fight between Crawford and Boots was without a question the best in the history of boxing. His aim was for Boots to get to 147 pounds before going up to 154 pounds. He said that he had to move up to a heavier weight class.
He's the best fight in boxing. I mean, unquestionable. But before Boots goes to 54, I would really like to see him unified at 147, and that will be a tough job for us, but one that you'll see tomorrow night we can deliver with.
A deal was made between the British producer and Ennis this year, and their first fight will happen this Saturday night. Boots will fight David Avanesian to protect his IBF World Welterweight title. Crawford beat Errol Spence to become the undefeated welterweight world champion. He now holds titles from the WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO. It was needed of Ennis to fight for the title because he was the IBF interim champion at the time. Because Ennis was so good, Crawford didn't want to fight him. In the end, Crawford beat an American rival. He dropped his belt. In this way, Ennis was raised and automatically became the IBF champion. Crawford has chosen to move up in weight class. On August 3rd, he will fight Israil Madrimov, who is the current WBA super welterweight champion of Uzbekistan. Hearn, who also likes Madrimov, told reporters that he thinks Madrimov has a good chance to beat Crawford. He did say, though, that Crawford is clearly the favorite in this fight.
I think that I really like Madrimov's chances against Crawford, but Crawford is obviously a big favourite.
The organizer then said that the fight would happen as soon as Boots had done everything that could be done at 147 pounds. Hearn was surprised that Boots could get to 147 pounds because on Friday, he weighed only 146 pounds. Besides that, he said that Boots' father and teacher think that his son could make 140.
Achieved everything that he can achieve at 147. I've got to be honest, like being around him and seeing the size of him, I was quite surprised that he makes 147 like he does. Like the weigh-in this morning, he was 146, and Bozy was like, you know, I actually think he could make 140. I'm like, what?
Hearn noticed that Boots looked well hydrated and that his face didn't show any signs of being thirsty. He said that Boots thinks he can eventually get to 168 pounds, which means that he will probably get to 154 pounds and then 160 pounds in the future. Hearn, on the other hand, stressed how important it was to reorganize the section first. He also said that Boots had won a world championship and that it would be a shame if he didn't combine the titles because of how good he is.
Face wasn't drawn in the slightest, and that was, you know, when I look at him, he believes he can go up to 168 eventually. So I think you're going to see someone like Jaron Ennis definitely move to 54, definitely move to 60 over time. But I don't like to make the move without clearing up the division. Like, he's won a world championship, but it'd just be a shame if...
A lot of people want Terence Crawford and Jaron Ennis to fight. Crawford is set to fight Israil Madrimov on August 3rd at super welterweight punch. Also, Danny Jacobs' manager Andre Rozier has said something about a possible fight between Crawford and Ennis. After signing with Eddie Hearn's Matchroom, the Philadelphia native is set to make his home city debut later this year. Rozier thinks that Ennis will not be able to beat Crawford because the three-weight world champion is too strong for him.
The mandatory. He's calling you out now.
Right now in my career, a lot of people like boost this, boost that, boost this. You know, fighting Boots is a lose-lose situation. I win, they're gonna say, oh, well, he was young, he wasn't ready. You got the experience over him. You got so much more than this kid that never been.
Also, Turki Alshik of the Saudi royal court is ready to make sure that the much-anticipated fight between Terence Crawford and Jaron Boots Ennis is organized. Boxing fans have been looking forward to this fight for a long time, but there are some problems that need to be fixed in the next few months. Crawford is getting ready to face Israil Madrimov this summer, and His Excellency is ready for a huge task. The fight is set to happen in Los Angeles, California, on the first weekend of August. Terence will put on 7 pounds to fight Madrimov at the super welterweight level. He is a welterweight king today. If this fight happens and Crawford keeps his perfect record, the road seems set up for a fight with Boots, even though Boots has said he doesn't want to fight Ennis before. Crawford's next fight isn't until August, though, so it's still possible that he won't fight again until 2025. Turki Alalashi wants to fight again, this time with Saul Canelo Alvarez. Could be soon that Canelo fights Terence Crawford. Alvarez wants to fight in 2024, which could mean that his fight with Crawford this year has to be put off. Still, since there aren't many candidates, His Excellency plans to use the Mexican boxer's success early next year to his advantage.
I'm blessed to be able to, be here fighting at the Wells Fargo Center. And I'm glad that everybody buying tickets, even if it's late. I'm glad you're buying tickets, supporting, and don't miss, this big show on Saturday, this big night.
Jaron Ennis is getting ready to lead a return fight in Philadelphia on Saturday. His promoter says that he has sold more tickets than boxing legend Mike Tyson. He beat Tyson's record, which he set against Buster Mathis Jr. in 1995. The match between Ennis and Avelas is expected to draw between 13,000 and 14,000 people, and maybe even more. This would break Tyson's Philadelphia record of 10,000 full seats. The IBF welterweight champion doesn't care about what he has done. He is only thinking about the next fight. He is happy that a record number of people showed up, but his main goal is to win the next fight, putting performance ahead of the event's high ticket sales. The Philadelphia fighter was meant to fight Cody Crowley, but Crowley pulled out, so David Avanesian stepped in to fight him. Even though Tyson's opponents changed, more tickets were sold than ever before for the fight. After that, Ennis was asked how he felt about Eddie Hearn's claim that he sold more tickets than Mike Tyson before his fight on Saturday. Ennis replied quietly with a sweet smile that he didn't feel any different. He said it was just another day like any other, which showed how normal it was for him.
I got one belt, so I'm going to, like I said, collect the rest of these belts. If you undisputed at 54, 47, and do it at 54. So that's my goal. So 47 right now is my main goal. Collect these belts, be undisputed.
With a 31-0 record, the fighter said he was thrilled and thankful to be at the Wells Fargo Center for the event. When asked, he said that he was only happy that fans and ticket buyers from his neighborhood were there.
I got one belt, so I'm going to, like I said, collect the rest of these belts. If you undisputed at 54, 47, and do it at 54. So that's my goal. So 47 right now is my main goal. Collect these belts, be undisputed.
Boots has become a tough opponent and shows a lot of potential in the ring. Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Boxing saw how good he was and signed him earlier this year. Hearn was thrilled to get Ennis and called him one of his most important deals, pointing out how talented the boxer is. Ennis is focused on becoming the next undisputed welterweight king, even though he is getting a lot of attention. He said in the same interview that he only has one belt and that he wants to get the other belts at 147 pounds before going up to 154 pounds. His manager, on the other hand, made an even bigger promise. He might fight one of the best fighters in the world.
Opportunity that I had to fight him.
Yeah.
When he fought he's for Ebenezer too, but I think he was in the middle of doing something with Earl at the time.
Yes.
And at that time, we all thought he was fighting Earl.
Yeah.
So we all everybody waiting around. The whole welterweight division was waiting around to see what he was going to do. And he popped up out of nowhere fighting David Ennis in December or something like that. People don't realize I didn't get the opportunity to fight for the IBF interim until after he made his decision. We was waiting.
Fans were really looking forward to a fight between Terence Crawford and Ennis, but Crawford beat all of his opponents at 147 pounds and is now going after Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds. Eddie Hearn, who promotes Ennis, wants a fight with Crawford because he thinks it will be good for Boots to use Crawford's image as a former undisputed welterweight champion. Even though he was gaining weight, the British marketer said,
Somebody was saying that I went a different route or something like that. Yeah. I only went that route because he chose Ebenezer. He could have clearly picked me. Yeah. I think Ortiz was one. It was me, and then I think it might have been Ebenezer, or Ebenezer might have been 4 or 5 or something like that.
Like 5.
Yeah, but that's who he chose. So you can't blame me.
Right.
I get a call. Of course I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
Why would I?
David Avanesian is Jaron Ennis's opponent. He has a record of 30 wins, 4 losses, and 1 tie, with 18 wins coming by knockout. Ennis, who had been holding the IBF temporary title, became the official champion when Terence Crawford, who used to be the undisputed 147-pound champion, decided to move up in weight to try to win world titles in his fourth weight class. Ennis didn't want to take the title this way, but he had no choice. He's happy to be defending the title right now. He also said, Avanesian, an Armenian from Russia who is 35 years old, wasn't originally picked for the fight. Cody, the crippler Crowley, was supposed to fight Ennis, but the Canadian southpaw had to pull out because his pre-fight eye exam failed. Avanesian is at a crossroads, and this could be his last chance to win a world title. His earlier attempts were close but failed. In 2017, Lamont Peterson barely beat him to win the WBA welterweight title. And in December 2022, when defending the WBO 147-pound title, Crawford's hopes were dashed with a knockout in the 6th round. The goal of this fight is for Avanesian to beat Ennis. David Avanesian said he thought he had been given a chance. He knew that Ennis was a good fighter and was happy to be up against someone like that, saying that he only wants to face good fighters. Avanesian said that his past fights, including the one against Crawford, were history, which shows that boxing fans remember him. He said that the next fight was another important chance for him to do his best. Notably, Boots now has Crawford's title because the IBF took it away from Crawford in November because he didn't defend himself against Ennis as required. With this move, Ennis went from being an interim winner to a full championship in the eyes of the governing body. The boxer told the boxing scene, coming back to the ring almost a year after his last fight in July, when he knocked out Roman Villa after 10 rounds, Ennis is set to make a big splash. The longest break was a full year during Ennis's 8-year run. Ennis was put on the bench and had to work to restart his career. He started his legal fight against Now Boxing, which used to be run by the late Cameron Duncan, in February with a lawsuit asking for the end of his contract and a $1 million judgment. A settlement was made in March and the lawsuit was thrown out. This meant that Ennis could sign a new deal with Matchroom by April. Ennis is known for not saying much, but his hits are always very strong to make up for it. This switch hitter is often compared to Terence Crawford in recent times. Ennis, on the other hand, feels bad about getting Crawford's belt without a fight. Before he had to fight Ennis, Crawford had planned to fight Errol Spence Jr. again, but their careers have gone in different ways since then. Ennis says the following: during his rise to the top, Ennis never got the chance to fight great boxers like Crawford, Spence, Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Yadenis Yugas, and others. Now he has to fight Avanesian, who is a tough opponent who Crawford beat in 2022. Ennis doesn't seem to care about Avanesian. Matchroom paid $3.9 million for the rights to the Ennis-Crowley fight. Based on IBF rules, Ennis should have gotten 85% of the income. Additionally, Ennis said that he thinks David is a better opponent than Cody. He saw that Avanesian is great at applying pressure, just like Villa, who he used to play against, but on a smaller level. It was clear that Ennis was ready to fight Avanesian. He said that he doesn't care about anyone else and is only interested in putting on a show for his fans and following. He made it clear that he was going to be himself in the ring and that he was comfortable fighting at home, saying that things had been going well without any stress. Ennis wants to be the #1 boxer in 4 weight classes: 147, 154, 160, and 168 pounds one day. Along with top-ranked Brian Norman and other welterweight prospects, Ennis wants to fight a great boxer who is looking to come out of retirement for the right fight and make a big name for himself. He says the following, even though he says no one is calling him out. Stephen Edwards, Jaron Ennis's manager, thinks that the boxer is not ready to fight at 147 pounds. For example, Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, and Virgil Ortiz used to be the best welterweight boxers, but Edwards sees a trend of them moving up to the 154-pound division. Amantis Stanionis and Mario Barrios, 2 of the best welterweights right now, are big favorites against Boots, who has an amazing 31-0 record with 28 knockouts. He's been called the Alexander the Great of the 147-pound class because he seems to have beaten everyone in his way. Ennis has to decide what to do next. He might think about going up to 154 pounds to get the big fights that he hasn't been able to get at welterweight. Even though they say mean things, he and his manager don't seem willing to take this risk. Ennis is definitely the favorite when he is matched up against Barrios, Stanionis, and Brian Norman Jr. Norman is the toughest opponent for Ennis because he can hit so hard, live so long, and still feels like he's young. Stanionis would not challenge Boots because he knew that the fight would end in a beating, with Ennis winning until the referee stopped it. Fans don't think any of those winners would fight Ennis unless they were offered money that would change their lives. Edwards has a good point. There isn't a welterweight candidate who can beat Boots. In order to fight with the best, he should really think about moving up to the 154-pound weight class. It looks like Boots needs to move up to 154 pounds if he wants to fight in Saudi Arabia and make a good living. In the past, Jaron Ennis denied being asked to fight Terence Crawford twice in the welterweight division. On the other hand, Boots said he would love to fight Crawford if the chance came up. Ennis talks about how, when given the chance to fight Crawford, he agreed right away, but then heard nothing else about it. Instead of facing Ennis, Crawford decided to fight David Avanesian in his home city of Omaha in December 2022. Boots was shocked by what happened, but it was clear what the message was. Crawford didn't want to deal with her growing fame. At Crawford's current level, facing Boots could be terrible for his future, especially since Canelo Alvarez is coming up in early 2025 and could give him a huge payday. Ennis said that Crawford turned down both of his chances to fight him and instead decided to fight Avanesian. He said again that he would take any chance that came his way and asked why he wouldn't. Ennis said that when Crawford finally asked them if they wanted to fight, they said yes, but that was the last they heard about it. It was clear that he wanted to fight Crawford. He said that it would be a great fight that everyone would enjoy watching. You can be sure that Crawford wouldn't have quit the welterweight division so quickly if he wanted to fight Boots Ennis after beating Spence in July of last year. The only reason Crawford didn't protect his 4 titles against Boots Ennis before moving up to junior middleweight is because it makes sense. Crawford is in a very heated argument with Tim Bradley, which makes me very worried. Crawford has good reasons to be worried. If he beats Israel Madrimov on August 3rd, he will get a huge reward. If he wins this fight, he will get to meet Alvarez next year. Tim Bradley, a boxing expert, says that Terence Crawford should fight Jaron Ennis to show his fans that he is not scared of the attention. Terence took a year off from boxing to celebrate his win over Errol Spence Jr. last year. He is now a little older. Boots is bigger and younger than Crawford. In a fight against him, Crawford is likely to get more damage than ever before, and he might not be ready for it. Would Crawford have stayed away from Boots and moved up to 154 instead of fighting Canelo if he hadn't been offered the fight? That would have been safer for an older boxer. As you age, facing a young lion like Boots could hurt your chances of getting a pay-per-view, especially if Spence helped you get to that level. According to Bradley, Boots hasn't been able to show how great he is because no one has given him the chance. That's not his fault, and even Crawford doesn't want to fight him because he knows how good he is. Like a lot of other fighters, Crawford wants to avoid a fight with Jaron Ennis. He has moved up to the 154-pound weight class because he knows how scary he is and wants to use Madrimov as a stepping stone. But even this plan might not work because he may not have had a choice but to face Madrimov or miss the chance to meet Canelo. See some of our other videos on the screen if you like this one.